Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Not yet. Try now. Hello. I'm having fun. But no, but we have the online, so we should be on the speaker. Okay, hello. You can hear me now. Hi, everyone. I think we're going to get started. If there's a couple more seats, you can take your seat. So we are intimate here, and that's exactly the right spirit in transforming food systems. So I think we're in the right room with the right people. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am Tanya Strauss with the World Economic Forum. I oversee our food and water activities. It's my distinct honor to welcome you to this session on unlocking the role of innovation in climate-smart food systems. I want to thank our hosts, our co-partners, EIT Foods, and so many partners that have pulled this space together to make sure that we're all feeling welcome in the pavilion space on the topics of food and nutrition. I also want to congratulate the COP28 presidency. The UAE government has put food square in the center at the heart of the climate agenda here at COP, and very much at the heart of the global climate agenda as we're seeing the cascading effects of the news going around the world from what's happening. The UAE Declaration for Sustainable Agriculture, Resilient Food Systems, and Climate Action, where 135 countries have signed up with one united voice that we must tackle food to realize our goals on nature and climate. So we're really excited to have the political will and momentum for all of us to now get to work, as Minister Miriam, Her Excellency, has said several occasions in these last few days. So looking at the role of technology solutions and innovation, a space that other sectors like energy and health have benefited tremendously from, how do we help to harness that power in the space of agri and food? And to be honest, look at not just the solutions and the technology, but their fit for purpose nature and the ecosystems that they need to be deployed and at scale to really support those transformations. I use the word fit for purpose a few times in this opening because I think it's important for us to understand what it really means. It means you have to listen and you have to serve the communities who are at the heart of these transitions, which include farmers and consumers and those that are working hard on those transitions across the value chain. In 2021, the World Economic Forum, together with the government of the Netherlands and many partners, launched what we call the Global Food Innovation Hubs Initiative. This activity is now active in 6 countries. So from Africa, we have the Kenya Hub. In Latin America, we have the Colombia Hub. In India, we're working in the state of MP. In the EU, the Netherlands, together with partners from across the region, are looking at a regional EU innovation hub. And this morning, we just inaugurated the 6th member of the family here in the UAE, the Food Innovation Hub UAE. So what is a hub? You're probably thinking, okay, what are all these words? Fit for purpose, sustainable agriculture. I hear them in every space I go to. And I think those are the right words. I think it's helpful to explain and describe what the feelings are when you actually get into that community at a country level and say, what are your challenges? Who is at the table? Do we have the right stakeholders that can actually express what we need to do and what we need to work on? In the Colombia Hub, which was actually one of the first ones to take off, we were sitting with a lot of the corporate sectors and the government, and the farmer organization came into the room and suggested that instead of looking offtake by offtake and value chain by value chain, we look at the farmers. What do the farmers need? They are humans. They have to look at the whole year of production. What are the different basket and diversity of crops that would help them? And I'm not here to tell you intercropping is our big solution. The solution and the innovation was that they were at the table and that the fit for purpose theory of change helped that conversation take a very different direction. And yes, they're using AI-led precision agriculture to have regenerative centers for excellence now in Colombia, and that's financed through a super innovative de-risking fund that CIAD is hosting, and it's really exciting. But the innovation that stays with me is the innovation for how we partner. And I think that's really at the heart of what we want to talk about here. And I'm so pleased to invite our esteemed panelists led by Shalini, who's just going to come up in a moment and moderate this discussion to talk more about the cutting edge solutions. A lot of them are already out there. So what we need is the right partnerships and ecosystem to deploy them, but also the way we have to change our mindsets to innovate. And I'm really looking forward to it. I wanted to just thank all of the people that work behind the scenes on all of the work that's happening across 6 countries or across a global food innovation revolution. And my colleague Nupur Desai here, who leads the food innovation hubs with a robust team around the world that's working on these hubs. Our partners from the EU who are here, from the Netherlands, Food Valley, and EIT, and so many others. So we're just really looking forward to diving in and, as Minister Miriam says, get to work. So Shalini, you have the much tougher job. I just got to say all the good stuff. So over to you.
All right, thank you. I'll let you come out. Wonderful. Hi, everyone. Everyone in the room, and as I understand, this is getting live streamed. So hello to all the folks that are watching as well. This is exciting. It's an intimate space. I'm really excited about this panel, so I'm going to get to it really fast. There is going to be a lot of inspiration. This is a group that represents innovation at very different parts of the overall food system. And so there's going to be lots of different types of inspiration. And some of you have said that you'll speak your mind, so there might be some good provocation here as well. So looking forward to it. My name is Shalini. I'm a managing director and partner at BCG, and I lead sustainable food and nature for BCG globally. So thrilled to be here, and I'm going to get us going. So the first part of this conversation, we're going to be looking to learn from some examples of what are different folks doing, what are they seeing, what are they excited about, and this is the inspiration part. And there's not very many places that you can go to get inspired in a way that you can go to Rwanda. And so it's close to my heart, and I'm really grateful that the Director General from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, DG Beatrice, is here with us. Thank you. And there is a lot that Rwanda innovates. Rwanda innovates more broadly, but especially in the food system as well. You've got an innovation hub in Rwanda that you're working on. And so I guess maybe I'll just start off by asking you to speak a little bit about how you're thinking about innovation in the food space and why that's important for Rwanda and especially for the smallholder farmers in the country.
Thank you. I think, well, we're trying to do what we can as Rwanda, but when it comes about the food system, whoever talks foods talk about life, you know. And for us, we take it seriously. And with that, we see it in different angles, but specifically for the importance of technology in boosting the food system so that we can get healthy and nice food on our tables. So what we are doing in Rwanda, in terms of policy, first of all, we are trying to put in policies that allow us to go into the agri-sector with technology and with access to climate finance, but also creating collaboration with the farmers, little farmers, cooperative farmers. So with that, we have also put in place what we call like IREME Invest. That's climate finance facility. And that facility is helping us to bring in private sector. And whoever talks private sector in Rwanda, we see the agriculture sector, because the agriculture sector contributes to more than 30% of our GDP. So this is really a good economic growth for our country. And for that, that is a facility that is private and public at the same time. So the private capital is there to de-risk, and the the financial side from the bank is there to at least help the farmers, but also all those who are in green access concessional loan so that they can implement their ideas. But with that, we also tackling the value chain. And with the value chain, we mostly see the post-harvest part of it. Because in Rwanda, sometimes we have farmers really having good yields, but within 2 to 3 months, if it's vegetables, if it's even fish, or if it's potatoes, within 2 to 3 months, they have just lost all. So we are trying to work on the post-harvest as well. So with this, the Ministry of Agriculture is constructing the post-harvest hubs where really like a group of farmers can come and keep their harvest in the cooling system. And we are hosting the Africa Center of Cooling, and that is also helping our farmers to really manage the post-harvest loss. So I think those are the few things we are doing to see if we can keep push the bar. Yeah.
Do you mind speaking to the role of technology in what you're doing?
Oh my God, technology has, let me put it this way. Technology has really make the life of farmers easier in different ways. First one, there is early warning system for the farmers, which is really customized for the farmers, letting them know, because we have the planting season and the harvesting season, and the planting season is kind of fixed based on the how it was long ago. We know that beginning September is the planting season. So sometimes the rain do not come at the right time as the farmers was expecting. So what we do, there is this early warning system that we just tell them, they know from their mobile phone that the season is not starting maybe on 15th of September, but rather on 20-something. So they hold on putting their seeds into the soil. So that's one. But second one, the technology is also helping them. We have different technologies to, this other technology of predicting the soil moisture, which is helping them to also, with their mobile phone, not only smartphones, but even those small phones for the rural farmers, to know the degree of the soil moisture and the soil content so that they know what kind of seeds they can match with their soil type. There is also a technology on irrigation, which is very important. So we are really having irrigation scaled, and it's helping us to, like we have the app where a farmer has the greenhouse and do not need to be there to irrigate, but rather wherever he is, when time to irrigate comes, he just open the mobile app and then command, and then irrigation happens. If it's drip irrigation or whatever kind of irrigation, it happens in the farm. And with precision, how many nutritious are going to go into the soil, the water, and the quantity. And this is really saving a lot on their finances, but at the same time, their time, and also boosting the harvest. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I found another mic, so thank you. It's really important in what you said. Maybe one thing I'd like to pull out is what you covered to drive innovation is there's technology, there's finance, all of the pieces sort of coming together, policy, technology, finance, all of it really coming together to drive innovation. I'm going to move down and talk to Jay maybe for a couple of minutes next. Jay, maybe you have been in this world talking about the importance of sustainable food for a long time. So there's probably not a lot of people who don't know you, but UPL is present in so many countries. I see here some facts of R&D facilities around the world, and some very innovative smart farming practices and crop solutions that you've developed. Would love to have everyone here sort of from your perspective. What are you excited about that you see scaling, that you see could be really driving innovation in the production space?
Thank you, Shalini. Yeah, UPL is very present across all value chains in most agriculture countries, and I really want to congratulate the Emirates declaration and Minister Mariam. I think she's done an incredible thing by including agriculture. A few years from now, we'll think, how did we ever have a COP without agriculture at the center? And it was shocking for me in Glasgow and in Egypt that there was such a little attention. And everybody knows 30% of emissions come from agriculture, and how can you ignore agriculture? And I think it'll be interesting to look back in a few years to see how we feel about it. At UPL, we are a company founded in India, present around the world, work with ultra large farmers in Brazil and other parts of the world, and of course look at the plight of smallholder farmers in Africa, India, and really see over the last 10 years, we've seen the impact of climate change, which actually destroys these people's livelihoods and hope, and the amount of stress if you're a small farmer who puts all his capital every year in that 5-acre, 2-acre farm and then gets hugely impacted. The recovery for these guys is impossible. So why would a farmer adopt technology to save the world when he can't feed his family? So we decided that our purpose has to move from just a company which supplies AgChem to really understand the challenges and pain points of farmers and develop technology to build farmer resilience. Because if you do not have a resilient farmer, there's no point expecting him to really try to not only feed the world but also be a partner in decarbonizing or decarbonizing the world. We have really focused on trying to understand value chains and trying to understand what technologies can be adaptable. We can't also expect the farmer to pay more. We can't say that you save the world but become poorer. That's not acceptable. So all the technologies which we develop and introduce have to lower the cost for the farmer, have to de-risk him. De-risking a farmer will make him more resilient, and that will bring financial inclusion. We believe that's the only way forward to bring this whole team. We also believe that 10% reduction in emissions. So if it's 30% through agriculture, 10% is easily possible through agriculture. There's enough technology out there. There's enough knowledge out there within the university system, within some highly specialized crop systems within companies. So there is enough out there to achieve a 10% reduction, which is a 3% reduction of emissions. And so at UPL, we have done various pilots and scale projects where we bring in technologies we have a sugarcane project, we have a fruits and trees project, we have rice, obviously the rice project. We've done something with burning of crops, and so many other initiatives around the world to really changing cropping pattern through our Advanta seed company in southern Zambia. We have 22 sugar mills signed up to our sustainable sugarcane production program using different technologies. So we've divided our strategy into 4 major points: is soil management, is crop establishment, so it's 0 to 30 days. What are the problems there? And crop development, and then crop harvest time? What are the challenges being faced, and what are the interventions we can bring in to really take away those problems? And it starts with using microorganisms in soil to really improve nitrogen fixation, to really using a platform, what we call as the Zeba technology platform, which keeps soil moisture, so that, you know, first, the survival rate for a farmer, if he loses germination, that's the end, right? He has to either replant, or that he's never going to get that yield. So that becomes the base. And then a lot of heat stress related technologies which we are bringing and brought, where if in February in the North India, if the temperatures go up to anything above 38, 40 degrees, the shattering of wheat, the farmers actually lose 30% of the yield, and that's more and more happening. And so all these type of technologies you bring in to support farmers to protect their yields and really bring in more resilience, because there's more predictability. What we do to cover all this, and a few years ago we realized that's not enough, and if we are asking him to adopt new technology, we must give him some kind of protection. So we've launched our Kavach insurance scheme, which we actually cover the cost for the farmer. We don't cover his profit, but we give him an instant insurance. It's completely digitized. He gets paid out if there is a weather event, if there is rainfall during harvest, or if the temperature goes above X amount of degrees in the wheat harvest season. We know that the impact of that. No discussions, just pay out money. These are small amounts of money. So lots of other things which we are doing to really build resilience and at the end really bring financial inclusion for these guys to really adopt and help all the rest of the initiatives around the world, like EVs and solar and wind. Why can't we reward farmers? So, you know, the governments are giving billions and dollars to EV and making a few people very rich. I think these farmers need support too.
Well, that's a great point. Thank you, Jay. I think I'm also starting to see a little bit of the pattern and sort of what folks are saying, right? We start farmer-centric. We need a multiplicity of solutions and technologies at play, and that intersection of finance with the technology is really critical if we want to drive scale. So, you know, whether you're in Rwanda or you're anywhere else in the world, that's starting to emerge as the theme. And from there, Murilo, I'd like to go to you because, you know, you are also, you know, from LDC, big, historic, large presence corporation that has worked closely with farmers for a very long time, but also have a real understanding of what the customers are looking for. How do you think about innovation in what has been a large, established, traditional organization, if you will?
Yeah. Thank you, Shaleen. Thank you for inviting me. Tanya De Wef. Hi, everyone. I am Murilo Parada. I'm Chief Sustainability Officer for Louis Dreyfus Company. We operate in 70 countries, and we are one of the major, let's say, traders of grains, oilseeds, coffee, orange juice, cotton, sugar, so a variety of commodities from one place. The very mission of the company is to be bringing the right food at the right time of the right location. And I'm happy to be talking after two of the colleagues, because I heard you saying that you have a big initiative that is post-harvest, which is where our journey begins, right? We're not farmers ourselves. And we are not input suppliers as well, like you are. So I think a lot of the technology that need to be coming to be supporting the farmers is not something that we're doing in that aspect, but I think it's something that we go beyond. I like to echo you as well, because we talk a lot about usually the agriculture is the part of the problem, right? Is 30% of the emissions, is polluting water, is polluting soil, a lot of chemicals. But we really like to see the agriculture as part of the solution, not of the problem, right? Not only providing social, security to the farmers itself, providing food for them, but providing food to the world. And I think what we have been seeing is that, I mean, the aspect of agriculture was only in the sense of to be becoming a food solution. And what we have been seeing in terms of innovation is the move and the shift for the agriculture not to be only responsible to providing the social aspect of cheap and accessible food to all the people, but to be providing as well environmental service, but as well energy service, right? So a lot of the residues that we have from the crops that cannot become food in terms of biomass, I think we've seen a lot of innovation in our own operations, but beyond that we can transform the biomass in energy, electricity. So I think that's something we are doing a lot and adopting a lot. We are using, we see a lot of the farmers, and depending on the country where we are, a lot of the forest and actually the environmental systems, they are preserved by the farmers themselves, which is a very important service as well that the farmer is doing to be protecting not only for carbon sequestration, but to the preservation of water and biodiversity. We don't talk about the water that is consumed on that one, but we have also the water that is preserved to the ecosystems around the farmers, the farms that the farmers are taking place of. And when we look in terms of what we're doing to be able, what our clients are asking more is really to be taking the benefit not only to be buying food, but to be buying the food that's linked to in a way that is providing, I would say, environmental service in more generic. You mentioned 30% of the emissions on the planet coming from agri-food systems. Agriculture is the biggest chunk of the 30%, and half of that is land use change, is deforestation. So one of the things, Shailene, I think we are doing a lot, and most of the clients are asking us to be making sure that our supply chain, the supply chain of the food system will be free of deforestation, which is something that we believe absolutely needs to be done. So as a company, I mean, we have a policy that all the supply chains from LDC will be deforestation and conversion of native vegetation free by 2025. And I think we can do that in two ways. One is to be excluding farmers that are, say, brown from the supply chain, is one way of doing. But we really like to believe that to be bringing the solution to the farmers, to be helping them and compensate them from the environmental service that they are providing. And in that front, I think I'd like to highlight, I think, two innovations that we do. One, I think, is on the finance, because not only historically what we provide funding for the farmers, pricing, logistics, which is the post-harvest, so those services are already there, but we are really creating differentiated financial service incentives for the farmer that are providing environmental socials of that one. And the other one I think I like is the word on partnership. We have one with UPL in India, but beyond that one, for example, we have a partnership with a company called Koppert. It's a Dutch company that is providing biological protection inputs. And I mean, we are deploying now that in scale to be helping the farmer as well to be producing in a more sustainable way. So I think we have a role by being the bridge between some input companies, the consumers, and having the relationship with the farmer to be bridging the gap and bringing those more sustainable practices, which including regen ag practices, but as well the service that is being to be providing the forests that are extending into the farmer land. And that I think is the partnership goes with clients, go with banks, go with the governments, that we really see the opportunity for us together to be channeling the funds, bringing the farmer to the center of the solution of the environmental problem. And we really believe that we can contribute in the journey.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Murilo. And again, the theme of this is not about tech in the way we think about, let's just have the product in our hands. It's a very holistic approach that you all are taking with the farmer at the center. We're going to shift gears a little bit and actually talk to someone who is a bit more of a disruptor in this space, if you will. Carrie is the CEO of Avant Meats, which is a cell-based seafood company, and has had quite the journey in this space. So would love for you to speak a little bit about what you're doing, but also about some of the challenges. We've heard about amazing innovations, but it'd be great for the group to start to understand what are some of the challenges as an innovator in the food space.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here today. Nice to meet you all. I wear two hats, so I part of the Global Alliance of Cellular Agriculture. I don't know whether cellular as an adjective to agriculture ring any bell for any one of you. And right, basically we use bioprocess, use cell culture, because what we eat in terms of the meat, they're actually muscles of the animal, right? So so if we can actually bypass the animal by using bioprocess to feed the nutrient directly to the cells, we can actually produce the cell mass that we can make into the food product. So there's a lot of benefits. For example, this process is more faster. For example, when we make fish, it's about one and a half month versus growing a fish in a fish farm about 1 year. So in terms of the growing demand around the world for protein, I think this offer a interesting alternative solution. And then of course we do not need to rely on having big pieces of land like farmland or fish farm that we talk about the land use change. I think that also help because you can imagine the production happen inside any industrial food factory. So you can imagine in like a brewery or like a yogurt making. So the whole process happen within a vessel that is closed. We put the cells inside, we put the nutrient that they need, and then keep the temperature right. And then after a few weeks, then we can harvest the protein from the bioreactor, and then we can make use of that for food. So then that comes to the point that I think the industry has developed very very quickly in the past decade, and a lot of the company already in the building a pilot plant, already finished a pilot plant. The biggest challenge actually in this industry, you may ask, okay, cellular agriculture, I've heard about it, but I still have not eaten it. So then the problem is we do need to produce them so that it can be sent to the market. And just to break down the challenge, let's say we run a 2,000 liter bioreactor, that can easily cost plus or minus $1 million US, depending on the brands. And it's not just one item. The whole facility also need a lot of other equipment to go into that. So easily one of the production factory at the moment, the price tag could be tens of $millions, if not $100 million. So in that perspective, because we are coming from the startup and we are backed by VC, and as we know, multiple kind of consideration, right? VC, the expected return, like percentage is high, and using that to support like capex, of course, is not very ideal. That's one. Then the other is that I think to break down the challenge a little bit more is this technology borrow a lot from the pharmaceutical world, medical field. So a lot of our vendors or supplier of bioreactor, they actually serve the pharmaceutical, biological kind of clients. And of course, they have deeper pockets and they have higher margins. So we are looking at a situation whereby even our supplier, they need to change the mind from high margin, small volume to large volume and lower margin. And I think this turn is not easy to justify within a lot of our suppliers. And there are some solution, some platform that is set up. For example, Neurasa in Singapore, the Culture Hub in Switzerland. They actually provide a platform for startup company who has reached a certain scale-up stage. They do not need to invest that heavily on the capex. They can start producing and demonstrating the scale-up, so that once they reach that point, they can then attract another set of capital to build their own facility. But still, I think we need both those interim solutions as well as something that is more creative that can help the switch from these more high specification solution to more like a mass market solution.
Thank you. I think what comes out from what you're saying is this is not just about the re-engineering part. You have to reimagine every step of the journey, reimagine the business model, reimagine how you're going to get capital, the whole journey as well. And that's where some of these hubs and platforms and ways to bring innovators together can be really valuable. So thank you for sharing the journey, and it's an exciting one for sure. Last but not least, and in fact, to take a bit of a bird's eye view of this, I wanted to talk to you, Steve, for a bit. Steve is the Vice Chair for Sustainability for Temasek. Temasek has a very wide portfolio of innovative bets, companies that you've invested in. You've heard the specific examples from individual companies. Would love your take on what are you seeing in this space of innovation? When you look across your portfolio, what are the trends that you see? What energizes you as you look ahead?
That's a great question. It's a great panel. And so I think, first of all, if we think, you mentioned the fact that this is the first COP where we've really had food at the center of the agenda, which is amazing when it's COP28, isn't it really? But we've talked a lot about the energy transition, which is underway now. And the energy transition, you can see most of where it's going. The food and ag transition it's much more diverse, it's more exciting, and it's going to happen faster, and it's underway now. And I think there's a real opportunity, if we get it right, to improve farmer livelihoods, improve human health, and tackle sustainability and climate. So we see the sort of trends that we see shaping the food sector. Sustainability, with climate being very strong within that, is a critical concern. We see sustainability as a mega trend that shapes everything. Digitization and technology, as a deep trend, people have already touched on that element, and health. People are increasingly concerned with that. You can wrap food security under the sustainability, perhaps, as an issue, otherwise pull it out. That's going to become of increasing concern. And we're not deep into developing countries, so obviously there is the other critical factors. Just providing enough food on the table for people is still there in a world where hundreds of millions of people are still hungry. The innovations, if you start to touch on them, I think on the digitization side, really good opportunities, and you already talked, DG, about some of the things that you're doing, and we've invested in platforms that connect smallhold aquaculture players so that they can have improved productivity, improved access to technology, improved access to market. We've invested in the same thing for a farmer network in India that connects 1.7 million farmers to the market. And if you think of the loss of food waste at the production level, that's because of lack of visibility of the market and lack of connectivity, so you can start to see those things addressed. We've gone a bit crazy. The world's a bit over-dependent. That's an understatement. The bit over-dependent on meat, not in large parts of the developing world where people still eat very little animal protein, but if you're in the US or Europe, you're 80 kilos per capita in Europe, it's 100 kilos per capita in New Zealand or in the US. Throw in New Zealand because otherwise you always pick on the US. I'm not eating any. So somebody's eating my share as well. So we know it totally dominates land use. It totally dominates. It's 70% of the antibiotics get given there. It's actually dominant in terms of air pollution in many areas that we don't know about, or about water pollution, water use. So we need to really look at plant-based foods, alternative proteins. We've heard about the cell culture meat. We've invested in a company that can grow chickens without an egg, so the cellular chicken. And we've invested in another company called the Every Company. Actually, they can grow eggs without the chicken. So we know when we ask who came first, the chicken or the egg, they both came independently by themselves. So I'm being playful, but it says what's possible from an innovation point of view here, and it's very exciting on that. We're across the plant-based space, where there's some things that are just good companies, Oatside, an oat milk producer, or Califia Farms, the dairy alternatives. We've invested in, or Impossible Foods on the plant-based foods. And some of the companies using precision fermentation. Fermentation's obviously a really old technology. We've been brewing stuff since we first realized that you could get tipsy at the end result of that. And so brewing's, but now we can use precision fermentation for so many different things. Company Perfect Day is sort of effectively fermenting a whey protein, so they're making milk. They used to be called moo-free, so you can have the whey protein without the cow as well. So it's a very exciting space there. And then looking at elsewhere, so from a farmer point of view, climate resilience, you talked about climate resilience and the need for that. And how do you actually build resilience and sustainability in? So we've been working and we're helping build one of the largest micro-irrigation companies in the world. We know water's absolutely critical in agriculture. irrigation is going to be increasingly critical, but it's got to be super smart and precision. You mentioned that, DG, as well. And then looked at the sort of next generation of glass houses as well. We've invested in Mastronardi, a large glass house producer. It's interesting, you could look at, and I wrestle with this as a long-term sustainability person, but are glass houses sustainable, or is it stuff that's grown in the field? But actually, glass houses, you can obviously eliminate the need for all but the most targeted inputs in terms of nutrients. You don't have to, you can eliminate the need for pesticides and herbicides. You can be hyper-targeted in water use and very efficient. You need to solve for energy. But increasingly, we can also, as we see from vertical farming and the innovation there, precision robotics, advanced LEDs, you can have a light recipe which can tune the way your plants grow. You can have a spicy basil or a leafy basil. So there's tremendous innovation as you bring the sort of vertical farming technology into the glass house, which is very exciting there. So it's a sort of comprehensive range of things you can see. We've got 60 companies and I've done about 5 or 6, so I'm not going to touch on all of them. I think what we do need to solve for, the food system of today, where we're in an obesogenic environment, where even in emerging economies, people are getting obese. It's the food system that's done that. We need to design the food system not to do that and take back control of it. We've got a metagenic environment. And we need to really look at how do we, over the next 10 years, work together. So it's from farm to fork to human health that we've thought through how we do that. And we need new coalitions that are going to work together in radical collaborative ways to do that.
That was an incredible array of examples. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. You had pretty much everyone here talk about finance, and as the financier that is betting on 60 companies, how do you think about placing a bet in innovation in this space? Is it about 1,000 flowers blooming and lots of ideas are great at the moment? Are there certain that you feel are the trends where things are aggregating towards? How do you think about placing that bet as a financier?
I know sustainability is a deep mega trend, so you've got to bet on that. And you know, everything's got to be breathtakingly low carbon. It's got to be super efficient. It can't have very high levels of chemical inputs, and we've seen the consequences of that. So that's a trend that we see as being there. We call it investing, not betting. We don't have a betting committee. We have an investment committee, just to clarify on that. And I think that there's a cautionary note on this that I think is that some of these companies take a long time to grow. I mean, you talked about the challenge of scaling the capital you need for that. And they're not like tech venture investing, the sort of software-driven investing. People got very fast returns. It was capital light. You're in and out in 3 years. This is longer-term investing. You've got to work with companies for longer to drive scale. We need a food system that's receptive, so that they're there to buy your cellular fish, and that's receptive in the market, that works with you, that helps you bring down the price as you get economies of scale. So it's a long-term game that we need to play into, and we need more active investors in the space to do that. And then we need to mobilize capital. And I think there's interesting opportunities. We've done some things around nature-based solutions. We've got a platform called Gen Zero. So we've just started to do some things looking at regenerative agriculture, agroforestry, and where can you work with at a community level to mobilize carbon finance. And I think if we can get that right, we can get some capital flows, but we'll need more money for that. And we've heard the call for money to do that as well.
What's fascinating to me is, on one hand, we talk about the food system being much more complex, much harder, longer time frames, etc. But on the other hand, we have such a wide variety of examples of innovative ideas that are brewing and growing, and that can be solving so many different parts of the problem. So it's a cautious optimism maybe that I'll put out there, but it is really exciting to hear the range. We are getting close to the kind of last leg of this. So I want to go around and maybe ask everyone a question. We wanted to have this room get inspired, but also start to look ahead. Let's think about what's coming around the horizon. What are the innovations that you're energized about? So if you look ahead in the next year, 2 years, etc. What is the one big solution that you are hoping that there's more that will happen? You're energized to see it scale. And maybe alongside that, what is the one thing that you think is needed to make that happen? So I'm going to go back to you, DG.
Thank you. Maybe coming from the developing country where we see technology and we receive it from developed country, I think one thing I could see in the next coming years is the R&D. If we really can get that technical capacity in the country to do the research and development into the technologies that can support agriculture, I think that could be one of the best things, so that we don't also use the lead finance that we have to go and borrow technology from other spaces and use it. And before you know it, you also have to go back for maybe other maintenance, either continuity of the technology. So really, if we can have R&D and reliance on the technology home-wise, so I think that could be one of the best solution.
We're going to run through everyone in a minute or two because there's folks in the audience that have a question. So
there's no silver bullet, so I'm not going to give you one. I think if we can have this, it's super good that this conversation's happening here. So that's a starting point. So, and if we think of health and sustainability, how can we enable everybody to have a joyful life where they can celebrate with good, healthy food that's within the limits of the planet? And let's keep that as our organizing North Star and focus on that. And with human innovation, with investment, with resilience, and with community spirit, we'll get there.
Probably repeat myself, but I believe that there is enough technology out there to reduce emissions by 10% through agriculture. I believe that focusing on farmer resilience will help them. Using that platform to build resilience, farmers can really bring in not only financial inclusion but also drive the transformation of the food system much faster. And I think there's enough incentive. The value chain needs to provide an incentive to drive the transformation. We are at ground zero, and I think 10 years from now we will be much more aware of all the value chains and how we can reduce the impact.
For me, maybe the real dream will be the farmers and the farmers community being actually compensated in scale for environmental service that they are providing on top of the food that they are producing. So I think that's the goal, that we stop talking about each company, each stakeholder doing its own pilot, but how we can actually engage all the stakeholders and create scale, massive scale, to be changing the agricultural practice through Regen Ag in scale is one, but also to be protecting the forests where they are holding. And in terms of the technology to be able to do that, for me, it's actually, the innovation is very simple. It's not that it's really about putting all multi-stakeholders to be developing and creating the financial instruments to be able to achieve that. And that will be, is not rocket science, it only depend on people getting coordinated, so that's why I believe it's possible, and I think that will be the dream.
Over to you.
So 3 points. One is they're very interesting. Mankind, the innovation actually go faster than our human behavior change. So you can see a lot of innovation, but people takes a long time to change the behavior and acquire a new habit. So related to food, I think we are still looking to have these change of behavior, being more receptive to different kind of like food sources, alternative protein. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is that I think that the general audience, they will need where we are now at COP, right? We have a lot of policymaker, government, and I think we need a push to incentivize general public to consider the sustainable kind of choice of food. Third is that I think we do need to have a system that, for example, if I ask myself, if I go into a supermarket, I would like to choose the most sustainable option of pasta or vegetable or meat. There's no labeling or there's no information giving me that. And I think if we want consumer to actually, accordingly, everyone is aware, but then they don't know how to act. And I think there are a lot more work along that line that will also then create a positive loop into supporting this new innovation.
Thank you. We've gone from farm all the way to the label for the consumer, and that's fantastic. So we're down to the last 10 minutes, and I want to open it up to this packed house for questions, and someone's eagerly waiting, so we'll start there.
Okay, so thank you very much for all the panel members. I have two quick questions, one for Parada, another for the disruptor. Sorry, I forgot your name. You said that by 2025, you're only LDC. We're only buying, products that come from non-deforested areas. Let's say that I come from a country that there is a federal regulation saying that I have to protect 80%. Let's say I have 100 hectares and I have to protect 80%, 80 hectares. So I can use 20, but I only use 16. I can deforest in another 4. Would you buy a product that comes from this legal deforested area according to the law? So that's the question, if you would buy it. And for you, and maybe he can also help you in the answer. There is a paper published by University of California, Davis, last March or April, saying that because protein produced in a laboratory uses high processed material because you're working with stem cells, the greenhouse gases produced by kilogram of a lab protein is between 4 and 20 times higher the amount of greenhouse gases given off by stalled animals. So how do you react to that? I mean, and you can also help her. So producing, lab meat or beef is giving off more greenhouse gases than stalled animals. How do you react to this paper published by University of California, Davis?
Sorry, can you introduce yourself, just to know?
My name is Celso Moretti.
Okay.
I am the former president of Embrapa.
Okay.
Okay.
Just for everybody. Yes.
That's very elaborate question.
Go ahead. Corley, you want to start?
Yeah. So I think, Celso, thank you for your question. So the answer is we will not buy a product that will come in from a farm in case that will be opening new native vegetation land, regardless the biome, even if it's something that, the guy is doing. However, I think that's the stick. We want to have the carrot. So what we are working on is to be finding mechanisms to be able to compensate the farmer to be protecting the service that he's doing. And I think that is not only from pure carbon credits, because the compensation will not be the same. Today, carbon market accounting and pricing will not give the same compensation to the farmer in this situation for that piece, but the production that is coming from a farmer, that somebody that is doing that one, has value to us as a company. And I'm sure that it has value as well downstream on the value chain to our clients as well and to the clients of our clients. And I think when I say on this multi-type of a solution to be able to pay is exactly to be going and to compensate the people. So the short answer to your question is we will not buy. The long answer, we need to be creating an alternative to this farmer.
The paper basically rely on the current state of matters. So they're basing on the assumption of what is currently practiced in the pharmaceutical kind of like biological production. So a lot of the thing, again, if break it down like clean room, a lot of the HVAC system, the power supply, and all of the process is kind of over specification for the food. So for example, in our case, we have a patent pending solution, coming up with a new solution that we can cut down on the CapEx as well as the OpEx. So I think that is based on what we currently project from what we have seen in the adjacent kind of industry. But this is going to change because a lot of innovators in this space are actually cracking that problem.
And just quickly, I mean, we've a portfolio company that's similar to yours. It's doing salmon called Wild Type. There, the salmon cells, you just put them in like soup. It's a very thin soup. It's just like nutrient soup, and they double every 48 hours at 22 degrees. That's like ambient temperature in the Bay Area. So you actually got very low energy needs. So I think you're absolutely right in where the study drew its raw material from. If you look at the wider sort of plant-based category, comparing that to sort of meat-based emissions, they are the worst. There was one study that said the worst performing plant proteins are better than the best performing meat-based proteins. Yeah. Yeah, I know with the cell culture, but that was answered. Yeah.
Thanks, sir. I just want to make myself clear. I see a contradiction when, at one hand, all of you wanted to facilitate the farmers and through this innovation. But these innovations seems to be alienate the farmers. And I see a disconnect where the farmers been alienated by their farm and products been developed in glasses or in labs through various technologies. So where the farmer's livelihood, I'm coming from Pakistan, and about 1 billion in the world population are having an hunger-like situation. And we in Pakistan, more than 40% are in hunger-like situation. And whereas the economic situation deepen us in a crisis where farmers are hardly to have means to their livelihood. So if these technologies been implemented right on the very poor countries in the south, how this will affect to the farmers whom we are talking to facilitate. I see this a contradiction. I may be wrong, but I need clarification. Thank you.
Maybe a quick response to that, given we have a couple of minutes. Anyone?
At least at UPL, we work directly with farmers. So it is directly working with smallholder farmers and helping them. I don't know, your question is addressed to any particular person.
Yeah, maybe it depends. Well, there's this technology which is saving the land use, if I can say, and you grow in the glasses or the hydroponic and whatever you call it. But there is also the other technology, as I said, that we apply, and we include farmers. And I think there are two different things. And what I'm telling you is like the technology we are using in Rwanda, where we have the farms cooperatives, and we help them with the mobile phone, the simple mobile phone that could help the farmer see in their own local language the level of nutrient in the soil, but also when is it going to rain and when is it appropriate to put the seeds in the soil in just simple local language. So they know when to prepare their soil and when to plant. And also this simple technology on when they are not there, they don't need to be to the farm to irrigate. They can just put the pipes, and then when they go, they just tap into their phones, and then it's recommend, and then there is also irrigation that is coming. So those are also technologies that can be applied to the farms. Yeah.
I think it's a very fair question, and some of the things definitely are very disconnected from the farmer. You're right. They're sort of your factory farming with lab technicians, but some of the things where we've been looking at working closely with companies working with farmers, e-fisheries, working with smallholder aquaculture. That's absolutely benefiting smallholder aquacultures across Southeast Asia. We've also looked at rice, because you mentioned, one of the panelists mentioned other environmental services. So rice obviously being 7% of methane, but it's an absolute staple crop for people at the same time. So we've got two programs, one in India, one we've been developing with Wavemaker, Breakthrough Energy and Gen Zero for Southeast Asia, looking at how can you work with farmers hundreds of thousands of farmers, so you can have improved rice growing, intermittent wetting and drying, but then there's a carbon benefit to that, and then the farmers get paid for the carbon services that they're delivering. So some of the solutions are very much focused on the farmer end.
Thank you. I know there were others with questions. I apologize, we're out of time. But I did want to say thank you to all our panelists. I think what we take away is there is an exciting and wide array of solutions, but the theme that everyone brought out was how it is really important. It's not just about the technology, but it's about bringing the technology with the finance, with the policy, and looking at it from a whole system point of view. So I really appreciate the wide breadth of inspiration here. We knew we were going to get inspiration. We did not know we were going to get answer to the age-old question of chicken and egg, but anything can happen at COP. So here we go. Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming.